I got to be honest, man. One of my favorite things to see in life is a dim leftist politician wander onto TV thinking that they're just in some sort of friendly territory and they're free to say and spread whatever ridiculous insanity they're pushing. This is what I'm talking about.
And that is a time in
that's
any
sophistry. Your example on Kraft. Your example on Kraft is even worse.
You finished first. In any of the states around the country that already have price gouging laws in place.
Can I tell you why that those are fallacious and misleading at best? And your Kraft analogy is even. Why can't I tell you? Please let me tell you. Kraft, you say, was 440% profit increase. The example you used, the prior quarter from the year before, they had a charge of $1.3 billion, an accounting change which wiped out profits. Then they earned what they normally. Let me finish now. They earned.
You didn't let me finish. Look at the data. Come on. We have economic study now after economic study.
This is the way it always goes.
When there is more concentration,
40 million eggs were destroyed because of avian flu.
When there is more concentration in an industry, we have seen much greater increases in
Do you attribute the inflation?
Margins.
That's what you think we need to do to solve it?
They're not random. They are not random one-offs. It is part of the problem when you've got companies that are gouging consumers on prices. Consumers need to know they've got somebody on their side.
Senator,
and
listen, we're trying to help. We're trying to actually do.
Where are you in the 37 states that currently have price gouging laws?
Just quickly on that point, Senator Warren, can you just tell here? Can I just clarify how this would work?
This is the way you never lose an argument because no one can ever say anything back to you, Senator.
The state price gouging laws take.
That's just a taste, man. Elizabeth Warren, world-renowned economic genius, thought that going on CNBC and talking to anchor Joe Kernan was going to be some kind of safe space, right? But here's the thing about business networks. Even the ones under the NBC umbrella, business networks care about actual numbers. They care about sound economic theory and sound economic principles. And aside from the occasional Jim Cramer, they all seem to be pretty serious people, right? And serious people don't seem to like Kamala Harris's economic policies. And they definitely don't like Elizabeth Warren making her rounds, pushing poorly thought out Kamala Harris garbage policies. This is going to be a pretty fun video to watch, guys. But first, if you enjoy this content, make sure to hit the like button, make sure to subscribe. It really does help us to grow.
I wish we would to actually, maybe move it out to 70 or 75 because something's got to be done because it's going to be untenable the way it is. Look at the Washington Post. And if you lose the Washington Post as a Democrat, you got some serious problems. This is what they said about the price gouging or the price control legislation. It was really pilloried from both sides of the aisle. Even Jason Furman, I don't know if you saw some of his comments. He said it's not good policy and it could actually do more harm than good. And I can paint you a picture of how that would work and how it's worked in the past, where we've tried to artificially hold prices down. Competition doesn't come in. People don't, like if beef is too high, people don't move the chicken. The competitors don't come in to undercut where the beef prices are. Nothing works when you try to artificially control prices. It's just a supply and demand issue. It's a flawed idea.
So did you have a question here?
Yes. Why would you propose a flawed idea when the real problem, if you really want to help the middle class, if you really sincerely want to help people having trouble at the grocery store, it's not price gouging that's the issue. And if you look at it seriously and really want to help them, then let's do something about it together.
This guy's actually pretty funny, man. And you could just tell he thinks that Elizabeth Warren is a complete idiot. He says, this is a flawed idea. And Warren says, well, did you have a question? And he's like, yeah. Why are you proposing a flawed idea? And you could just see the regret on her face, man. She's just not used to it, but she should get used to it, right? No one reasonable and no one thoughtful thinks that any of these things are a good idea. And honestly, it's good to hear these folks on the left coming out against this craziness, man. But some of them are doing it just about as softly as they can. Joe's quoting here, far left journalists about price controls. They could do harm. That's true. They could do harm, but there's really no question about that. they would do harm. They've done harm everywhere they've ever been tried. And to answer his question, the reason they're proposing this is that they believe that the American people are stupid. They think they can play on your emotions. They believe that facts don't matter to the American people. And I don't know. I mean, they may actually be right. We aren't exactly the most financially literate country.
Fine.
So, I understand if you want to do a lecture about this, but let's just start with where have you been for the last 30 years as 36 states have price gouging laws, and they have used them effectively. States like Texas and Florida, they've used price gouging laws. Price gouging laws are not price control. Price gouging laws are to say, sometimes markets go off the rails. And when they do, we need some ways to get them back on the rails. We need some curbs on that behavior. So, for example, we watched in the pandemic how prices went up for a whole lot of reasons. They went up partly because we had supply chain kinks. We had problems because of the war in Ukraine that cut supplies of certain commodities. And one of the things that happened as a result of that is there were corporations that said, whoa, now that we have inflation, now that prices are up overall, this is a great opportunity for us to raise prices, not just in passing along costs, but to go way, way, way above that. And how do we know that it was way, way above just passing along costs? Look at what happened to their profit margins. If they'd just been passing along costs, profit margins would have stayed about the same. But for some industries, some companies, profit margins shot up. And do you know where they shot up most often? It was in companies or in industries where there was a lot of concentration, a lot of market power, places where the market is not functioning competitively. So you end up with someone, you remember we all talked about egg prices. You end up with something like this giant egg producer, Cal-Maine. And Cal-Maine raises the price of eggs. Their profit margins increase by 718%. That's not just passing along costs.
Senator,
and that is a time
that's sophistry. Your example on Kraft. Your example on Kraft is even worse.
You finished first. In any of the states around the country that already have price gouging laws in place.
Can I tell you why those are fallacious and misleading at best? And Kraft analogy is even. Why can't I tell you? Please let me tell you. Kraft, you say, was 440% profit increase. The example you used, the prior quarter from the year before, they had a charge of $1.3 billion, an accounting change which wiped out profits. Then they earned what they normally. Let me finish now. They earned.
You didn't let me finish. Look at the data. Come on. We have economic study now after economic study.
This is the way it always goes.
When there is more concentration,
40 million eggs were destroyed because of avian flu.
When there is more concentration in an industry, we have seen much greater increases in.
Do you attribute the inflation?
Margins.
That's what you think we need to do to solve it?
They're not random. They are not random one-offs. It is part of the problem when you've got companies that are gouging consumers on prices. Consumers need to know they've got somebody on their side.
Senator,
and
listen, we're trying to help. We're trying to actually do. Where are you in the 37 states that currently have price gouging laws?
Just quickly on that point, Senator Warren, can you just tell here? Can I just clarify how this would work?
This is the way you never lose an argument because no one can ever say anything back to you, Senator.
She asked to filibuster, man, because she knows that these people actually know what they're talking about. She's accustomed to being able to cite the one egg producer that shows a profit spike, and people will just take that as proof that the entire grocery business is just profiteering and blaming it on Joe Biden. When in reality, the profit margins from this year are right back in line with where they should be. And they're only a spike in comparison to the last year, which was a complete and total disaster. I don't even think she's aware of the actual truth. And just think about that for a second, man. A serving, well-known senator from the ruling party is either unaware of the actual facts or purposefully mischaracterizing them in order to just push some dangerous economic agenda. These people cannot be trusted, man. She's either stupid or she's corrupt. And my guess would be a little from column A and a little from column B. She's both.
Price gouging laws they look at when a state of emergency is declared, and they, for the most part, say if your prices go up 10 or 15% compared to before that state of emergency, you have to pay a fine. So on a national level, how exactly would this work? Would you define the state of emergency? Does it have to be declared on a national level? Are you then talking about a 10 or 15% increase in prices versus prior to that declaration, and then companies have to pay a fine? Okay, fine. Maybe that applies in 1% of the situations. But this legislation, which is still vague, is making it sound like something on the scale of broad price controls would be imposed, broadly speaking. So which of the two systems is it?
So it is not price controls. This is about when the market itself is not functioning. Sometimes markets don't function because there's been a localized emergency, a hurricane, a wildfire, flooding. And so in states that have these price gouging laws, they can come in and say, look, you can do some price increases, but if you're going above a certain level, you have to be able to justify it. You have to show that what you're doing is passing along costs.
Would it be company by company?
Again, man, she's either not smart enough to be crafting policy and be having these conversations, or she knows every single bit of what she just said is wrong. Either way, you have to question the motives of these people. No one on the planet Earth has price gouged more than Elizabeth Warren. She's turned being a dim, belligerent leftist public servant into millions and millions and millions of dollars. And something like $4 million of that was from book deals. $4 million to read what Elizabeth Warren has to say. That is without a doubt price gouging. That is the exact definition of price gouging. So I don't know. Maybe she is the expert. I don't know, but that's just my take, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.